Hari. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य sto श्री श्रीमद AC भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी महाराज श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य sto श्री श्रीमद भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी महाराज श्रील प्रभुपाद की अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की नामाचार्य श्रील हरिदास ठाकुर की प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की श्री श्री राधा कुंड श्याम कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की वृंदावन धाम की नवदीप मायापुर धाम की गंगा माई की यमुना माई की भक्ति देवी की तुलसी महारानी की समवेद भक्त वृंद की गौर प्रेमानंदी. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Canto 3, Chapter 30, Description of Adverse Fruitive Activities, Text 5. Naraka staha api deham vai na puman tyaktum ichchati narkyam nirvratau satyam devamaya vimohita narkostham api deham vai नापुमां त्यक्तुम इच्छति नारक्याम निर्वृतौ सत्याम देवमाया विमोहितः नारकस्थौ अपि देहं वै नापुमां त्यक्तुम इच्छति नारक्याम निर्वृतौ सत्याम देवमाया विमोहितः नारकस्थोऽपि देहं वै नापुमां त्यक्तुमिच्छति नारक्यां निर्वृतौ सत्यां देवमाया विमोहितः Vaishnavis. Naraka in hell. Staha situated. Api even. Deham body. Why? Indeed. Na not. Puman person. Tyaktum to leave. Ichchati wishes. Narkyam hellish. Nirvritau enjoyment. Satyam when existing. Devamaya by the illusory energy of Vishnu. Vimohitaha deluded. Translation. The conditioned living entity is satisfied in his own particular species of life, while deluded by the covering influence of the illusory energy. He feels little inclined to cast off his body, even when in hell, for he takes delight in hellish enjoyment. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki. It is said that once Indra, the king of heaven, was cursed by his spiritual master Brihaspati on account of his misbehavior, and he became a hog on this planet. After many days, when Brahma wanted to recall him to his heavenly kingdom, Indra, in the form of a hog, forgot everything of his royal position in the heavenly kingdom, and he refused to go back. This is the spell of Maya. Even Indra forgets his heavenly standard of life and is satisfied with the standard of a hog's life. By the influence of Maya, the conditioned soul becomes so affectionate towards his particular type of body that if he is offered, give up this body and immediately you will have a king's body, he will not agree. This attachment strongly affects all conditioned living entities. Lord Krishna is personally canvassing, give up everything in this material world, come to me, and I shall give you all protection. But we are not agreeable. We think, we are quite all right. Why should we surrender unto Krishna and go back to his kingdom? This is called illusion or Maya. Everyone is satisfied with his standard of living, however abominable it may be. Translation again. The conditioned living entity is satisfied in his own particular species of life, while deluded by the covering influence of the illusory energy. He feels little inclined to cast off his body, even when in hell, for he takes delight in hellish enjoyment. Om Jnanatimmirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Garadhara Shivas Adi Gaur Bhakti Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. So what we are seeing in this verse is the strong influence of Maya. We sometimes hear about the material energy, how we are illusioned by it, how all the living entities forget their real constitutional position. But when we read Srimad Bhagavatam, we actually get to see how we are illusioned. Before reading Bhagavad Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam, we have no idea of how we are controlled and influenced by all these different external energies. We think everything is fine, I have many things in control, and I'm navigating my life in a direction where I want to. But when we come across the Vedic literatures, then we start to understand how a living entity is conditioned, how a living entity is influenced by illusory energy. So over here we are seeing that no matter how abominable our condition might be in this human body, on any planet, in any country, we feel like home. We feel like this is our space. This is our atmosphere to express our desires. And so much so that the society that we live in emphasizes that bodily identification, that the more we are able to bring in the forefront your specific body type, the more you can express your individuality. And so even when we are faced with misery, when we are faced with difficulties and suffering, we we tend to think that's just part of life, that's just normal. As many philosophers nowadays say, in order to be happy, you need to go through suffering, you need to go through misery. Otherwise, how will you actually relish the enjoyment, the happiness? But how many of us wake up in the morning and think of, you know, how my day would be filled with miseries and suffering and difficulties? No, we all wake up and think of how I can fulfill my day with enjoyments and pleasures. And so, because of this strong influence of Maya, we feel content over temporary happiness. We feel just satisfied over insignificant, fleeting happiness. And so, as we have discussed, that's the function of illusory energy. Uh, there are two functions that Maya performs. Number one is to throw the living entity into ignorance. It's called Prakshetatmika Shakti. And the other function of illusory energy is to cover the living entities, cover the knowledge of the living entity about its constitutional position, which is called Avaratmika Shakti. And so it's because of this strong influence of illusion, we feel at home wherever we are situated, no matter how difficult and how miserable the situation might be. One time, Prabhupada, I think it was in Los Angeles, he very generously said that there is one difference between my disciples and I. He said that I'm always afraid of Maya, whereas my disciples are not afraid of Maya. And so we should always know that how strong the illusory energy is, and we should always be afraid of it. We should always use that emotion of fear towards Maya, that we don't want to get influenced by Maya, no matter how how happy the circumstances might be, how things might even be going in the right direction. And it is also said in one of the purports, Prabhupada says that it is because of the strong influence of Maya that we tend to think that we can attain peace in the material world, that eventually everything will be all right, everything will be in place, I will be happy and peaceful and have everything that I want according to my desires. But that is also the influence of Maya, that we have that perception, because as we are reading, the illusory energy covers the knowledge of the living entity and makes the living entity hallucinate, so to speak. And so we have to understand that the place that we are living in, the material existence, is not really our home. As Bhagavad Gita says, Dukhalyam Ashashvatam. We cannot really change the architecture and the design of the material existence. It will always give us miseries, it will always give us sufferings and problems and difficulties. But it is for us to elevate our way of navigating this world so that we are able to handle those difficulties and sufferings in a way which don't influence us, which don't affect us. And that's why Krishna consciousness is so important, because what other way do we have to tackle this illusory energy which is very strong? People have all sorts of ideas, that all sorts of different perceptions, things that they will do that will make them peaceful and satisfied. It's like I was talking to one student that I'm cultivating. He's Chinese, and he was telling me of all these different ideas that he's planning to do to to have a better situation. I'm gonna, LA is very expensive. I'm gonna move to Orlando, uh, have a get a house in the countryside or something, and things will be much more peaceful. So it's not that we change our location, we change our jobs, we change relationships, and things will be okay, because wherever we go, our mind will go with us, and the illusory energy is, of course, all pervading. It will always hit us in different ways, and so that's why one who is intelligent, one who is smart, he will know what to do. But especially when for one for that fortunate soul who has come across the Vedic literatures, who has come across Prabhupada's books, you know how to deal with Maya. You know how to have your weapons and your tools ready to attack Maya. As Prabhupada would often say, when you take up Krishna consciousness, it's literally like you are declaring a war against Maya. Uh, and I think many of us have that experience, especially when we take up Krishna consciousness. The influence of Maya starts to become more stronger. There are more temptations, there are more allurements, and you're like, what is going on? Like, right? Just when I'm about to get serious in my spiritual life, I'm getting so many temptations. Maybe a job raise, or this person who's never gave me any attention now all of a sudden is giving me so much focus. And so we have to take shelter of Krishna. That's the only mechanism for dealing with Maya, the strong influence. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Devi Esha Gunmai Mama Maya Duratyaya Mam Evam Ye Prapadyante Mayam Etam Tarantite. That there is no way that living entities can deal with this strong illusory energy, because they're always influenced by the three modes of material nature. But for one who has taken shelter of me, they can easily cross this strong influence. So I've always thought about what does it really mean to take shelter of Krishna, because coming from a engineering background, I'm always trying to put things in a logical box, in a perspective, and taking shelter, surrendering to Krishna seems very, can say, sentimental, at least for me. And so I've always thought about what does it really mean to surrender. And before Krishna consciousness, my idea of surrender or taking shelter of the Supreme Godhead would be, okay, yeah, it's kind of like a religious idea. You go to the temple, do some puja, give some money, take the ghee lamp and just make circles for how many times you want to. And usually we have this idea of surrender to be, that you are being defeated. You have to give up your desires, your own expression of individuality, and it's more so a kind of the word is more so related with danger. That okay, you are in danger. There's nothing else to do. So okay, I'll surrender. But that's not what surrender actually means. Surrender means that we do what Krishna says. We follow Krishna's instructions. And when we follow Krishna's instructions, that actually means we are surrendering to Krishna. As my spiritual master often says, surrender means to stop our plan-making factory and take up Krishna's plans, which can be very difficult because we have so many different ideas and desires about how I can be happy in the future or how I want to navigate my life. But the more we understand that bhakti is a guidance culture, and the more we take guidance from the Shastra, from senior devotees and our spiritual master, the more we become rich, the more wealth we have. Because although we might have access to all those things, but if we don't take its advantage, then it's kind of, you have the wealth, but you're not using it properly. So in a way, you are wealthy, but not really. And so the more we fulfill our life or surround our life with these strong association of reading Prabhupada's books, taking guidance from senior devotees and our spiritual master, the more we will be able to navigate different obstacles that material energy will throw on us. And so, one thing that we should also think about is how we can follow Krishna's instructions. Because I remember the first time when I read the Gita, I didn't really understand a word, although I read the whole thing. And so there are so many instructions, so many different types of yogas that Krishna explains, so many different procedures that Krishna gives to make advancement. But again, sometimes it becomes overwhelming as to what exactly Krishna wants us to do. How can I actually surrender? And I always come to this verse in the last chapter of the Gita where Krishna says, Ye idam paramam ghuyam mad bhaktesho bhi dashyati bhaktim mai param kritva mam ivashyati asamshaya. That for one who explains this knowledge of Krishna consciousness, for that person, pure devotional service is guaranteed. And in the next verse, Krishna says, Nacha tasman manushyesu kashchin me priya krittama. That for there is no person more dear to me than one who shares this knowledge of Krishna consciousness. And so when I first read that verse, I thought, yeah, that would be really amazing to have Krishna as your best friend, to have somebody who thinks you are the most dear person to them. And that's actually the same instruction Lord Chaitanya gives, as Lord Chaitanya is also Krishna, as we all know. Lord Chaitanya also says the same thing, that Yare dekho tare kaho Krishna upadesh. Wherever you go, whomever you meet, teach Krishna consciousness according to our own capacity. And so when we are sharing Krishna consciousness with others, that is equivalent to surrendering to Krishna. And that is actually our disciplic succession. There are, as Prabhupada would often explain, there are Bhajananandis and Goshtanandis. And so Bhajananandis are devotees who isolate themselves from the world and they perform their bhajan internally, they perform their sadhana. And then on the other side there are Goshtanandis who go out in the world and who share Krishna consciousness with others. And Prabhupada, of course, did the same, although he was, in his phase end of his life, in his retirement in Vrindavan. But being inspired and moved by the instructions of his spiritual master, he decided to take on this massive mission, start a project at the age of 70 to go across the world to share Krishna consciousness. And we have seen even in our parampara how devotees have taken crazy risk to share Krishna consciousness. Of course, within our own movements, we know in our own movement, devotees back in the 80s, they went behind the Iron Curtain, communist countries to share Krishna consciousness. And so we similarly see example of back right after Lord Chaitanya passed away, the famous trio, Narottam Das Thakur, Shyamananda Prabhu and Srinivasacharya, under the guidance of Srila Jiva Goswami, they started the first book distribution marathon. And when they were in their journey, they were right away hit with a big obstacle where all their books, original books, got stolen. And so we have to learn from their example that, especially when we take on this endeavor of sharing Krishna consciousness with others, there will be much more obstacles. but with that following of that instruction comes a lot of empowerment. And so when uh, Narottam Das Thakur, Shyamananda Prabhu, and Srinivasacharya faced that obstacle of the books being stolen by the king of that district, uh, Krishna at the same time gave them the intelligence how to recover, how to retrieve the books, and even make the king a devotee and make the whole city Krishna consciousness. And so, with that example, we see that as we are observing the appearance day of Shyamananda Prabhu today, that when we are doing service, any kind of service, we should do it in association, because we can't really think of going solo and just doing everything on my own and, be, taking all this, taking the spotlight, becoming famous, and what we have certain desires. We should always perform devotional service in good association, and then it will be easier for us to manage and handle obstacles. And the other instruction that when I was reading this pastime, I take is, again, importance of taking guidance. All three of them were taking guidance from Srila Jiva Goswami, and under his instruction, they took over this big project. And so we read that when we read in Navadip Dham Mahatmya, that when we are performing devotional service in the mood of servitude to Lord Chaitanya, then all the other rasas open up in our devotional life. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says in Navadip Dham Mahatmya that by first worshipping Gauranga in the mood of Shanta and Dasya, the devotee attains Krishna's service in Sakhya, Vatsalya, and Madhurya. And gradually by serving Gauranga, the devotees eternally perfect relationship with Krishna manifest in the course of their devotional service. And so we should know that when we are serving Lord Chaitanya, Lord Nityananda, this is what we have in plate for us. Whether we know it or not, it's slowly manifesting, but when we have this knowledge, then we will be more steady and consistent in our devotional practice. And so just by serving Lord Chaitanya, Lord Nityananda, which is for most part the mood in our Krishna conscious society, to expand the Sankirtan movement and share Krishna consciousness with others, and by doing that we satisfy Lord Chaitanya, Lord Nityananda. Through that endeavor, we are also making our progress, making way towards entering into Krishna's intimate pastimes, finding our eternal spiritual identity. Because at the end of the day, as Prabhupada in his books have given us everything, and so he also talks about the perfection of spiritual life is to go to Goloka Vrindavan and to join Krishna in his rasa dance. And so it's not that we have to manufacture something else. It's like back in the 70s, there was one devotee who went to Radhakund, and after reading Nectar of Instruction, he decided to just live in Radhakund and just settle over there. And then one time he came back to Prabhupada in Los Angeles, and he told Prabhupada that I was living in Radhakund, and he was telling all about it. And Prabhupada was literally disgusted with this devotee. And so, of course, we don't want to jump over, but over here we are hearing from Bhaktivinoda Thakur himself that just by serving Lord Chaitanya in Dasya, we can open up all the different possibilities for us. So again, as we are observing the appearance day of Shyamananda Prabhu, and we are also observing Krishna Ras Yatra and Balaram Rasa Yatra today, we can pray to them so we can become more fixed up in our service to Lord Chaitanya, Lord Nityananda, in expanding the Sankirtan movement and continue our family business. Because as because that is what will please the Acharya, Srila Prabhupada. See, as he says as we hear in his pranam mantra, Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyatyade Chatarine. And so when we even just make attempts and try our efforts to share Krishna consciousness with others, we get the mercy and the empowerment from the parampara. And when we have that empowerment, then the influence of material energy, this the whole material existence becomes like a water contained in a calf's footprint, and it becomes just super easy to cross over it. So we'll stop here and see if senior devotees have any corrections or comments. Okay, stop here. Srila Prabhupada ki.